Welcome back to the channel Gadgets for Gentlemen. In this video I'm going to show you two beautiful Casio watches. On the left we have the Baby G, on the right we have a G-Shock. On the left we have a watch that is made for women. I argue that the Baby G could also be worn by men, especially men that have very small wrists. So my wrist size is 6¼ inch wrist. I will jump to the conclusion right away. I think I should go with the G-Shock because I think I can get away wearing the G-Shock on my small wrist. But if you prefer a smaller size watch that has a lot of G-Shock features actually, then I think the Baby G is not a bad choice. It's actually a very good choice. And I wouldn't be put off by the fact that it's called Baby G or by the fact that it is marketed towards women, because actually it's a very capable watch. It's also nice if you, for example, wear a G-Shock or want to buy a G-Shock, then you could actually buy a Baby G for your girlfriend or for your wife, and you could have some twinning. You know, you can wear similar looking watches together, yeah, as a couple. It would also look very nice. So let's get started. Right here what we have is called the Baby G BGD-5650-1ER. So here we see a couple of specs: tough solar radio control, and here again the reference number. So that is the Baby G that I will display today. And here on the right what we have is the GW-M5610. And here we have the U, and I think the U stands for the new version of the famous watch. And again here European market 1ER. So let's have a closer look. So here on the left we have the Baby G, and on the right we have the G-Shock. And let me see if I can have this in one frame. So let's get started. The boxes and everything are very similar. What we have is just a piece of paper, as you can see. Very simple packaging, but it's very effective. Let me put this back in the box. So here we have Baby G, and the specs of the Baby G is solar paneled, radio control, shock resistant, 10 bar, and it has LED light. Here again we have the reference number. So one of the biggest differences between these two watches has to do with the size, has to do with the water resist. So the G-Shock that we have here on the right, it has 20 bar, which is 200 meters. It is a bit more feature rich. It has auto EL. Yeah, it has a bit more features, but then again, when you go for the Baby G, you almost get the G-Shock in terms of features and looks. As we can see right here, these squares, they have very similar features. And the Baby G has 4 buttons to control the watch. So does the bigger G-Shock. As you can see, both these watches, they have resin cases and resin watch straps, metal back plates, and mineral crystals. So this goes in terms of the similarities. They both have multi-band 6. Both they have the tough solar, which means rechargeable battery being charged by direct sunlight, and even normal light from, for example, your office lights. So any light source will charge the movement. And as you can see, the button layouts are also quite similar. So that is in terms of features. I will leave links to the websites of these watches so you can see what you need and what do these watches feature. But the purpose of this video is just to give you a visual cue of what to expect when you hold them side by side. We can already pick up on some of these differences. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the boxes to the side for now, and let's just look at these watches from a more day-to-day experience. So let me put them down, take off my Omega. And just to start off with, both of these watches, they are very wearable, they're very lightweight. So let's get started. Just want to compare the weight of these watches. Yeah, so that's 0. So this is the G-Shock. And the G-Shock comes in at 50 grams. The Baby G comes in at only 31 grams. So that's really cool, and I think it's worth pointing out. If you really want to wear a watch on the wrist that is barely noticeable, the Baby G is even a bit lighter. Now, another thing also worth pointing out, I think, has to do with the thickness. Both these watches, they're not very thick. I would say this G-Shock is the thickness a bit of your like SKX watch. And this one is a bit thinner, so let me demonstrate. So when we look at the Baby G, I get about 10.9 millimeters. And with the G-Shock, I get about 12.5. So if you want to wear something that you barely notice on your wrist, the Baby G is the one to go to. Now let me demonstrate it on my wrist, 6¼ inch wrists. So with the Baby G, I would say I'm somewhere like in the 1, 2, 3, 4th adjustment hole. So if you or your lady have smaller wrists, as you can see, that's great. If you have smaller wrists, then there's plenty of adjustment holes to choose from. With my 6¼ inch wrist, as you can see, I like to wear it a little bit tight on the wrist, and I'm in the 4th adjustment hole. So there we have it. So this is what it looks like on my 6¼ inch wrist. And also, reason for making this video, I've not seen a lot of videos about this particular watch. So I think, yeah, this is missing on YouTube, and I hope to fill that gap. If you are in the market to look for the Baby G, if you want to purchase it, then this video might be helpful. If it is helpful, then please leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. So that's the Baby G. Now, by comparison, I'm going to throw the G-Shock on the right wrist and see how it wears. I mean, my wrist, they should measure about the same in terms of size. Again, I like to wear it a little bit tight on the wrist. And in this particular position, I'm somewhere halfway. So if you have smaller wrists, then there is a bit of space to work with. If you have larger wrists, then you can get a very nice fit with this watch. And for me, being somewhere in the middle of this strap, I think it works out fine. If my wrist was a little bit larger, if I were, for example, in this position, it would even be better. But this is what it looks like on the wrist. And as you can see on my 6¼ inch wrist, I think I can get away with this particular size. But this, for me, in terms of the G-Shock, is the maximum size. I don't want to go any larger than this particular watch. And here, by comparison, we have it with the Baby G. And as you can see, the Baby G is just overall a bit more, it's a bit slimmer, it's a bit sleeker. But I prefer the more feature-rich, larger brother, the G-Shock. I like the 200 meters of water resist, but don't let the Baby G text scare you away with this particular watch, because it is a very capable piece, and this is what it looks like side by side. As you can see, the Baby G wears even a bit less large. I think you could get away with this even under, for example, like an Oxford button-down shirt. But then again, I plan to wear these watches just for very casual things. And when it's time to dress up, I will leave this watch in my house and throw on a mechanical piece, a dress piece. And these watches are just great for everyday use, radio control, solar powered. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it was, then please like, share, subscribe. I'll leave links to these products in the description. Please be very careful that you purchase the reference number that you want, because I noticed that there's quite some differences in terms of these reference numbers. I think this one comes in an older version and a newer version. I have no clue what these newer version really consists of, but I just prefer to get always the latest when it comes to the tag. So I purchased the latest version, which has the U in the reference. So that's the video. I hope it was helpful. Have a fantastic day and see you soon. Oh, I forgot to mention one more thing. I think it's also worth pointing out, as you can see right here, that the wearing experience on these watches, they also matter in terms of the straps. So what I want to point out, and this is a bit hard to measure, but let me just try to do so. When you wear these watches on the wrist, what you notice is that the width of the strap, I think this is a bit wider compared to this one. And then we have a taper, which means the strap becomes more narrow towards the end, like a V shape. And I think this particular strap on the left, the Baby G, is much slimmer on the wrist compared to the wider regular G-Shock. I forgot to mention it, but I think it's worth pointing out. So let me try and measure it up. So when we start with the first link of the strap, we get about a width of 24 millimeters. Now when we go down on that strap, we end up with this straight part, and I'm very curious about the width of that piece. Okay, so in the very end of this strap, we get about 19 millimeters. So again, we start off with 24 in that very first part of the strap. As you can see right here, this is about 24, and we end up, once we taper down all the way to the very end of the strap, 19 millimeters. Now let's compare it with the Baby G. So the Baby G, when we start with this particular piece right here, we have a width of about 20 millimeters, as you can see right here. And when we go down the strap all the way to the end, I'm not going to measure this part, I'm going to measure like this part right here. We have a width of about, yes, I would say about 16 millimeters, as you can see right here, 16 millimeters. So to wrap up, I think it's also worth noting on the wrist, not just the thickness, but also the width of these straps, whereby the Baby G is just a bit more narrow, more feminine maybe, more elegant, while the G-Shock is a bit more, yeah, no nonsense, tougher, maybe more masculine. So there's just one final difference in this very short comparison. I don't claim to do a full comparison, but just a few things that I realized and I wanted to point out. Finally, as you can see, we have a similar color of lume or backlight when we press the light button. So, thank you for watching. Have a great day and see you soon.